Are you living on borrowed time? Discover the alarming truth as we unveil the first 5 states on the brink of collapse. Economic turmoil, social unrest, and environmental disasters are just the tip of the iceberg. These states are facing unprecedented challenges that could drastically affect your quality of life, safety, and financial stability. From skyrocketing housing costs and crippling debt to natural disasters and rising crime rates, the warning signs are all around us. If you value your safety and future, you need to hear this urgent warning. Buckle up. It's time to find out if your home is at risk. Move out now before it's too late. Number 10. Kentucky. Kentucky has faced significant economic challenges in recent years, struggling with issues such as a debt crisis, high unemployment rates, and poverty. Economic mismanagement and a lack of investment have exacerbated these problems, leading to financial instability and limited opportunities for residents. Natural disasters, including floods and tornadoes, have further strained the state's resources, causing extensive damage to infrastructure and disrupting communities. Population decline is another pressing issue for Kentucky, with many residents leaving the state in search of better opportunities elsewhere. This demographic trend, coupled with low birth rates, has led to an aging population and increased demand for social services such as healthcare and education. Corruption and mismanagement in state government have undermined public trust and hindered efforts to address Kentucky's challenges effectively. Political scandals and governance failures have eroded confidence in leadership, making it difficult to implement necessary reforms and improve accountability. The Kentucky Financial Management Act was introduced to address some of these issues, but progress has been slow, and many challenges remain. Privatization efforts in sectors such as electricity have faced resistance and setbacks, further complicating efforts to revitalize the economy and improve infrastructure. Overall, Kentucky's teetering state is characterized by a combination of economic struggles, demographic challenges, and governance issues. Addressing these problems will require comprehensive solutions and concerted efforts from both government and civil society. Number 9. California. California, despite its reputation for innovation and economic prowess, faces a host of challenges that threaten its stability and prosperity. The state's susceptibility to natural disasters, including earthquakes, wildfires, and floods, poses significant risks to infrastructure, public safety, and the environment. Climate change exacerbates these hazards, with rising temperatures and more frequent extreme weather events amplifying the threat to communities across the state. Economic vulnerabilities such as banking sector instability and housing affordability crises underscore broader fiscal risks. The collapse of banks like Silicon Valley Bank has shaken public confidence in the financial system, while skyrocketing housing costs and homelessness rates have deepened social inequalities and strained public resources. Water scarcity presents a pressing concern for California, with prolonged droughts and dwindling groundwater reserves threatening agricultural productivity and urban water supplies. Efforts to address these challenges through water conservation measures and sustainable resource management are hampered by competing interests and limited funding. California's teetering state is characterized by vulnerabilities stemming from natural disasters, economic instability, and environmental risks. Addressing these challenges requires bold action, including investments in disaster resilience, housing affordability, and sustainable water management. Number 8. Illinois. Illinois grapples with a range of challenges that threaten its economic stability and social well-being. The state's public universities face profound financial troubles, with escalating pension costs and declining enrollment straining budgets and limiting access to higher education. The opioid epidemic ravages communities across Illinois, driving up healthcare costs and undermining public health outcomes. High unemployment rates exacerbate economic hardship, leaving many families struggling to make ends meet and fueling social unrest. Healthcare disparities, including disparities in maternal mortality rates, underscore broader public health challenges. Limited access to healthcare services, particularly in rural areas, further compounds these issues, leaving many residents without essential medical care. Natural disasters such as tornadoes and severe storms pose significant risks to infrastructure and public safety, particularly in vulnerable communities. Inadequate infrastructure and emergency preparedness measures exacerbate the impact of these hazards, leaving the state ill-equipped to respond effectively to disasters. Illinois' teetering state is characterized by vulnerabilities stemming from fiscal challenges, public health crises, and natural disaster risks. Addressing these challenges requires comprehensive strategies that prioritize economic development, healthcare access, and disaster resilience. Number 7. New York. New York, home to the bustling metropolis of New York City, faces a myriad of challenges that threaten its resilience and stability. The state's dense population and aging infrastructure leave it vulnerable to a range of hazards, including earthquakes, coastal storms, and flooding. Inadequate disaster preparedness measures and limited funding for infrastructure upgrades exacerbate these risks, increasing the likelihood of widespread damage and disruption. Economic strains, exemplified by bank failures and high household debt, underscore broader financial vulnerabilities. The collapse of institutions like Republic First Bank has shaken public confidence in the financial system, while soaring housing costs and homelessness rates deepen social inequalities and strain public resources. Food security presents a pressing concern for New York, with limited access to fresh produce and reliance on imported goods, leaving many communities vulnerable to supply chain disruptions. Efforts to bolster local food production and resilience are hindered by limited space and high land costs, posing challenges to achieving food self-sufficiency. New York's teetering state is characterized by vulnerabilities stemming from natural disasters, economic instability, and food security risks. Addressing these challenges requires coordinated efforts to strengthen infrastructure, promote economic diversification. Number 6. New Jersey. New Jersey grapples with a range of challenges that undermine its economic stability and social well-being. The state's high unfunded pension liabilities pose a significant fiscal burden, straining resources and limiting the government's ability to address pressing needs. Healthcare disparities exacerbate social inequalities, with communities of color facing higher rates of maternal mortality and inadequate access to care. The state's reliance on natural gas for electricity generation leaves it vulnerable to supply disruptions and price fluctuations, posing risks to energy security and economic stability. Coastal communities are particularly vulnerable to sea level rise and storm surges, with aging infrastructure exacerbating the risk of flooding and property damage. Efforts to mitigate these risks through coastal adaptation measures face challenges, including funding constraints and competing priorities. New Jersey's teetering state is characterized by vulnerabilities stemming from fiscal challenges, healthcare disparities, and coastal risks. Addressing these challenges requires proactive measures to strengthen fiscal resilience, enhance healthcare access, diversify energy sources, and bolster coastal resilience. Number 5. Florida. Florida, renowned for its sunshine and beaches, faces a multitude of challenges that threaten its stability and prosperity. The state's susceptibility to natural disasters, particularly hurricanes and sinkholes, poses significant risks to infrastructure, property, and public safety. Climate change exacerbates these hazards, with rising sea levels and more frequent extreme weather events amplifying the threat to coastal communities. Economic vulnerabilities, exemplified by instability in the insurance market and dependence on tourism, underscore broader fiscal risks. High home insurance premiums, driven by the frequency of natural disasters and financial instability of local insurers, strain household budgets and discourage investment in vulnerable coastal areas. Housing affordability presents a pressing concern for Florida, with soaring prices and limited availability exacerbating homelessness and housing insecurity. Limited access to affordable housing also affects workforce retention and economic development. Florida's teetering state is characterized by vulnerabilities stemming from natural disasters, economic instability, and housing affordability challenges. Addressing these challenges requires comprehensive strategies that prioritize disaster resilience, economic diversification, and equitable housing policies.